What's going on, everybody? We're gonna get another video going, raw, unsolicited, uh, off the top, unedited, unscripted. We're gonna cover a couple of ideas that I've just been accumulating over the last couple of days, as I am also doing the drills, doing the skills, applying the knowledge that I'm teaching here, creating content for individuals that are looking to get a better perspective on what life can be like, or what life would look like, if they apply either some of the things that they've only dreamed about or heard about, or imagined that other people do daily in their life to achieve some level of satisfaction or some level of position in life. So we're going to be going over a lot of what those things are and applying these kinds of things in your daily life, and having that structure in your life is going to guarantee two things. One is that you'll have some level of training, some level of knowledge to fall back on in any given situation. So let's say you work your way to the top, right? I'll give a great example. I was at bowling today, and we were versing a team that one of the guys bowled a 300. So that's all the strikes in a row. 9 frames strike, and then the 10th set, 3 strikes, right? And it was amazing. It was picture perfect down to the last pin. It was absolutely, it was amazing. You had to be there to see it. This guy, essentially in the 10th frame, going for his 3rd strike, he had 3 pins left on that last strike, and then it went to 2. And then it went to 1. And then the last one fell. It was like, it was one of those moments that you can't recreate. I barely had time to look around to see if anybody got it on film. I should have been the one getting it on film too, because I was literally like right behind, I was sitting out of the lane, but I was right behind the guy, like literally staring down his path and seeing history unfold for this guy, right? And imagine you work your way to the top. You get something like that. First time in your life. That was his first time, right? And you get to the top, and then, you don't quite make it the next time, because that was the second game. The third game, I think in the 4th or 5th frame, he had a 9. He couldn't get the 10 pin. And then in the 10th frame, he had 2 strikes and a 9 as well. And it's not the same. You literally bowled almost another picture perfect game, but it wasn't where your best was at, right? So 2 things happen. You still fall back on the level of training that you've established for yourself over time. So for somebody who's a consistent 250 bowler or 260 bowler, getting a 300 may be a lot more rewarding, right? But also you still have the ability to achieve that 300 again and again and again, right? Again, it was his first time, and I don't know how long he's been bowling, but let's imagine he's been bowling his whole life, right? A kid who's, maybe 20 to 30 years old, and first time getting a 300, now he knows it's possible. He's going to go for it again. The skills are going to start developing in a new way. They're going to start developing with that 300 in mind, that it's now achievable. I got it one time. I could do this again. I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to go up in the 10th frame, bowl 2 strikes, and it's down to the last 3 pins, and then it's 2 pins, and then it's 1 pin, and then it's no pins, right? So now he knows what that feels like. He knows how that's going to happen for him going in the future, right? And number 2, it also gives you the ability to pivot on the fly, knowing that you have the skills necessary to allow you to achieve your goals, or just get to the next step. And what can this mean, right? Let's say you're a stockbroker, and you gamble all your clients' money away, and Essentially, that's what stockbrokering is, in my opinion. I mean, I've never went for any one of my series, but I could only imagine. I have had somebody at Chase Bank play with $1,700 of my money in the stock market and lost all of it. So I get it. And I was 22 at the time, 21, 23, something like that. And you can imagine what $1,700 feels like to somebody who just maybe worked 6 months to save up $1,700, right? And so at that point I said never again. Like I'm not dealing with the stock market, right? And I wound up in real estate. Go figure. A worse set of people, in my opinion. But let's say you fall down, right? So now you have that level of security, I guess you would kind of say. You have that level of knowledge, that level of skills and training, and to get back up on your feet and to pivot and to say, maybe that's not something that I want to do. Maybe change the pace, maybe change the game. You're allowed to carry that skill set with you. That's something that's universal, right? So this is essential. I mean, I feel like having had been a victim of some of the most nonsensical mindsets growing up as a child, being afflicted with people who were absolutely bonkers rich compared to other people around them and in their circle, and even expanding that circle outwards maybe 5-6 steps, like to the 6th degree, like still bonkers rich, just be absolutely terrible with money, to the point where it's like I just don't understand how that's possible. And that actually turned out to be a universal thing. There's a lot of shitty people with money and a lot of idiots with money. Just remember that, guys. Not everybody who has money is somebody to look up to, right? And having had grown up with not understanding exactly why is it that certain mindsets were in place, certain activities, certain impulses, certain behaviors, certain addictions were in place, right? And what was the natural tendency of the trajectory of my life, right? It was going to be somewhat in that ballpark of, what I strongly, based on my opinion, is gonna be somewhat of a failed person, right? Someone who could have amounted to so much, but didn't quite achieve what is in general something of a successful and happy lifestyle, right? And I'm still working on it. I've just you just level up and you create a platform, again, you plateau, and then you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, right? So I'm carrying these skills to the next, on the road to the next level, right? So I'm very much in it. I'm doing exactly what I'm saying I'm doing. I'm doing exactly what I'm saying, in all my videos. So I just have a better perspective of exactly how this stuff works, right? So I'm able to share it with you guys. And, reevaluating what your life really is, right? So I've got a few points over here. We're going to go over all of them. It's a list of maybe 1, 2, 3, about 10 or 10 to 15 of them, right? And reevaluating what your life really is. Like taking inventory again, it comes back to some of my other videos. Take inventory. Where are you at? Where do you want to be? What would it look like if you were to draw a circle around what your life is, and what a circle would look like with the life that you want, right? And they're two separate circles. What's really here and what you really want, right? Or better than what you really want is what's just the next step from here to here, right? Like what's going to get you from here to here? How does that happen to get you from here to here? Just the next step. Like let's say here means you have, $1,000 in your bank account for savings, right? And here means you're gonna bump that up to 1,500 or 2,000. Let's say over here it's, creating one song a week, and here, or creating no songs a week, and here is just creating one song a year, right? Just get something out there. Or here's, I hit the gym once a week, or I do some type of physical exercise for the betterment of my mind, body, and soul. once a week or something like that, right? And over here is going to be, two times a week, 3 times a week, or you have some type of martial art that you want to participate in, or sport that you want to participate in, or social gathering that's involved in something like yoga or hot yoga, or something like that, right? Or some type of activity, hiking, or just stepping outside once in a while, right? So that just the next step, because it's like some people will blow this out, and it's like, over here is, I'm 355 pounds, and over here, a 355 pound like linebacker, right? And they're trying to get to 180, running back. It's like, what? It's like, some goals are just, they just don't fit the narrative perfectly, But, if it's like 355-pound linebacker going into, hey, I want to drop a couple of pounds and cut my 40-yard dash and by, half a second, that's a little bit more on the path towards maybe 180-pound running back or wide receiver or something like that, right? As opposed to, 355-pound linebacker, right? So getting realistic with that kind of stuff as well is like, how realistic is this? Are both of these things, right? Because some people can really jump from reality, like where things are at, into like just straight fantasies. Like, I have $5,000 in my bank account and I want $1 million by the end of next week. And it's like, unless you're willing to gamble all that money and do some risky shit, it's like, I just don't see how $1 million is going to pop into your bank account, unless you just do, again, some type of gambling or some type of risky shit, or what a lot of people often do is they'll go and they'll borrow the $1 million and then wind up with none of it and owe people. That's key to reevaluating what your life really is identifying exactly what's going on in your life. How is it that you're able to take inventory in the most realistic manner? Where is it that you're out? Be objective with it. If you were to step out of your life for a second and view what those things look like for you, what that thing actually feels like actually look at yourself and just say, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's what that means for me. And here's what's actually going on. Like, you would be able to get an idea of like, where is it that you're lying to yourself? Because you have to be able to tell yourself the truth. You have to be able to just bring to light, right? Bring to light what is it that's actually going on. Because again, it's like, what did I say? Like the 7-step program is like the first step to curing your addiction is admitting you have a problem, right? I think that's one of the 7 steps or something like that. But, getting an idea of what's actually going on and understanding what your problems are, understanding what your benefits or your strengths or your weaknesses are. Do a SWOT analysis, like, what is it called? Strength, weaknesses. I forgot what the O's and the T's means. You get an idea of what is it that actually makes sense in your life, right? Or you get an idea of what is actually going on in your life in the most objective manner possible, right? And then getting an idea of like what things can be. What's just the next step? Again, sometimes making, going for another position, or just learning how to save a bit more money, going for that extra 5 pounds on your next weightlifting session. You don't just go ahead and slap another 45 pound on your barbell and call it, and saying progress or attempt to make progress. You might blow something. It's like you blow your back out or your biceps out or something like that, right? When you just overdo it, right? Get to the next step in the most systematic way possible, which is small chunks. Again, you can't eat the elephant in one bite. You got to take small bites. And, reevaluating what this actually means for you as well. Be realistic. Sometimes we are the best storytellers in our own life. Sometimes we're just so good at telling ourselves the same flavor of story. It might just have different aspects. Like, it's the same fucking characters, then it's the same fucking story, and it's the same fucking ending. It's like, for you in your life, everything ends with everything is gonna be happy. Like, it's a fucking Bollywood movie. And it's like, believe me, I would know about that. It's like, everybody that you ever deal with on this side of where I am in life. It's like everything's supposed to end nice and neat and gently. Like it's a Bollywood film where it's like, they all fight the whole damn film, right? And then they're ending up singing like somewhere in the mountains in this, Taj Mahal, right? In India, right? So it's like, no, that's not realistic. Like people don't actually operate like that. It's the equivalent of a Disney fantasy. It's like you have to be realistic with what's actually going on. It's like, do you want to invite that level of nonsense in your life? Do you want to continue telling yourself that story? Do you want to continue adapting the same flavor of everything is going to be all right because it's all going to be honky dory and we're all going to bring it together and huddle and be nice coochie coochie with each other, right? It's like it doesn't exist, right? And then on the total opposite, it could be every story that you run is just completely the world shatters, it ends in nuclear war, and America's taken over by every other country in the world, and we're all doomed, right? And we have to pay taxes for the rest of our lives, which is actually the reality that we live in. Go figure. But it's like at some point somebody's nightmare was they have to pay taxes forever, right? And it actually ended up being so. And now it's not a nightmare; it's a reality. But you get what I'm saying, right? So understanding that that side of you that's telling you what's going to be the part of your next step for the reality is crucial as well. It's reevaluating what is it that you're really doing to yourself. What story are you really telling to yourself? Is it really going to be okay? What part are you playing in that story that's constantly telling you that it's the same flavor of outcome? It's like, things could be really, really good and then they're going to end in tragedy, or things are going through tragedy right now, but they're going to end really, really good. It's like, get over it, man. It's like you could change the way that storyteller part of you is running the script. You could change that. You just have to adapt. Again, you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined enough to adapt certain mindsets, adapt certain skills and drills, so that you can constantly really question yourself about what is it the reality that what level of reality are you embracing right now? What level of reality are you shooting for? Okay, so we're gonna run down the list. Self-perpetuating, deconstructing mindset. Oh, I love this one. So I love coming up with flashy terms because it's like how much information can I squeeze into the least amount of words possible? And I suck at that. I'm really good with the subject lines, but giving long form content is like I could literally squeeze a half an hour video into 10 minutes if I just learned how to condense or maybe even slow down and condense my thoughts. But that's not who I am. And what we're going to do is we're going to do my program. So self-perpetuating, deconstructing mindsets. Self-perpetuating is something that's going to, once you get it going, it keeps going, right? Deconstructing. It's the breaking down. You're going to deconstruct. You're going to take it apart piece by piece. And mindset. What is the blueprint for your life? What is it that you're running constantly 24/7 that allows you to produce the lifestyle that you have, right? So that's the mindset. Self-perpetuating, deconstructing mindset. So again, self-perpetuating, deconstructing mindset. How do we do this? Or, we just broke it down. What does it mean in long form? Basically, how is it that I can systematically break down what's exactly going on in my head so that I can and I can automatically do this so that I'm able to evaluate exactly what my mindset is at any given moment in time, right? So, and again, this is a work in progress. It's not going to happen overnight, but the fruits of your labor, the fruits of your labor are going to reinvest themselves, and they're also going to produce the fruit necessary for you to carry to the next step. So how do you do this? Well, again, going back to reevaluating what your life really is, it's getting a good idea of what's exactly going on. Having to give yourself the objective information so that you can constantly and consistently introduce the question into your mindset of, how good is this going to be for me? What is this really doing for me? How is this serving me? And having that self-reflection is going to give you the ability to, again, just break down what is it that's really going on. You're going to get better and better, and you're going to get more into the nitty gritty. It's kind of like peeling the onions of a layer, where you're just going to get better at it. But it's the fact that you're actually involved in the peeling of the onion, right? You're watching a video like this and you're like, okay, I got the onion. I know what this is now. It's real. Now I get to start peeling back some layers by taking a, objective evaluation of what's going on in my life. I get to question myself and question who put the onions of the layers on here of my mindset. Who put those onions? Where did I learn this? What good was this for me? How did this happen? Where did all of this come from that it got so tightly packed, and it's running all of its programs and ideas, and the mindset is giving you this lifestyle. Now you get to break it apart and put back what makes sense, and take out what doesn't make sense and just throw it away, or now you get to understand that something like that, like a mindset like that, exists in the world. And now you get to avoid, or you get to choose how you respond and react to whether or not that's going to continue going on in your life, which from time to time it comes back. Again, we're neurologically able to call back these kinds of things, but we're also able to adapt, to respond instead of react to these kinds of things. So as valuable as they were at some point in life, like they were installed in your brain to fight some kind of battle or something like that, right, to save you, and now you get to respond to it in a more mindful manner, a more caring way, a more delicate way, where you get to approach these kinds of situations and these kinds of mindsets and say, I don't get to react to those kinds of things anymore. What I get to do is objectively determine whether or not this is serving me, or this is serving the person that I'm speaking with, and whether or not I want to be a part of that interaction or that lifestyle or that mindset or that situation. So you get to sort those kinds of things out, all while running a better thing right here, right? So DIY kit for mindset: set and get reliable goals quicker and easier. And this runs I'm actually surprised how similar all of these things are. But again, it just comes down to basics, like the DIY kit for your mindset. How to set and get reliable goals. Again, it's being objective with what's really going on with reality, with the storyteller side of you that's telling you, oh, okay, everything is going to end up fine, and I had to talk with that person, and we're back on the same page. And it's like, oh shit, they're doing that. Oh, it's like, okay, so now you're paying attention, like, oh, they're going for, oh, okay, here's what up. I see where it's going on now. That's where it comes from. Oh, okay, that's what's going on in my head. Oh, okay, that's what's happening, right? And now you get to say, do you want to be a part of that? Or do you want to go for something that's just the next step, right? Like, maybe, how do I get from the, oh wow, they're doing that again. Oh, I'm feeling like this again. Oh, this is where this is coming from. No wonder I behave in this kind of way. No wonder they behave in this kind of way. No wonder I let this go along for so long, because it's been this kind of behavior going on in my life, or this kind of behavior going on in their life, or this is the systematic way where I have not been able to get what I want, or this is the systematic way that I'm getting what I want, and everything's great with that. How do I improve that? How do I do more of that quicker, easier, faster, and better? Boom. What's just the next step? More skills and drills, more fundamentals, more basics. Get better at those. Do more, or get better at those, right? Or hey, this is not working out. What is it that I need to do to just move into this next step? Okay, again, fundamentals, skills, drills. What is it that I can do? How do I systematically break down these processes? What is my mindset? How is it that I could edit those kinds of things? How do I get to that next step? Okay, listen to a video, watch somebody who's doing it, get in front of a mentor, do the things that are necessary for you to learn and grow, right? So set and get reliable goals quicker, easier. Again, it's just getting back to basics, identifying exactly what's going on here. Where are you at in reality? What what is reality going to look like for you, and these kinds of things, right? Real life genjutsu. So this plays on my fact that I love anime, right? And there's a show called Naruto, right? Naruto and Naruto Shippuden and Boruto Next Generations, and this whole 20, 30, almost 30 year running anime that deals a lot with the esoteric energetics that exist in this Naruto world, right? It's this it's basically anime is, it's manga, and it's a cartoon, I guess you would kind of say. Some people are gonna fight me for that. Listen, guys, I'm explaining a lot to as much people as possible. So how is it that I could explain this? So genjutsu is basically, it is a spell, right? I guess that's the best way to put it. It's an ability for somebody to cast an illusion in which the recipient, right, the victim of that spell, of that ability, the victim is in this illusion, right? And the series goes on to like develop exactly what it means to be in a genjutsu, all the way up until like the final boss, right? Like the guy who's like, I don't even want to do spoilers, but it's like this stuff. I mean, like my skin's crawling. I mean, like I love the anime. I got friends who love this kind of stuff, and I gravitate towards anybody who could chop it up with, an anime thing, and where you're doing just powers beyond, what I wouldn't want to say what the human is capable of doing, but because we all have some form of varied ability to perform a genjutsu, and as well as inflict a genjutsu spell or an ability onto a victim, right? For better or for worse, sometimes it's really good to have somebody play in your illusion, um, you know. But the real life genjutsu basically is assuming that um, you yourself are casting your own illusion. And this is where I was going with this when I wrote this. You yourself is casting an illusion on yourself, right? So we all have this perceived idea of what reality is, and there are some things that we can agree upon, like things that are like in writing, like a contract or service agreement, or some type of IOU or things like that. Anything that's in writing is kind of penetrating and piercing the veil of the genjutsu, so that two or more parties can agree, right? They can formulate a reality based on this document in writing, right? And then people of various natures can do this kind of feeling of an agreement in writing, and they can do that in person, and with a handshake, essentially, right? And then what is it that you're doing to yourself, that you're casting your own genjutsu, your own illusion, your own reality, mind altering idea and mindset, right? It's like coming to terms with yourself to understand what is it that you're really doing. Like, are you playing yourself? What is it that you believe is the right thing to do, and what is it that's actually the right thing to do? Because for some people believe like the right thing is to shut up and keep going. And when actually the right thing that they really need to be doing is get the fuck out of that situation, not shut up, get the fuck out. It's like, how much worse can it be to get the fuck out of a situation rather than just shut up and go along with it? It's like, that's the wager that somebody really has to battle. It's like, what is that genjutsu that they're performing on themselves really telling them about? How much is it going to hurt to get out than actually stay in? Right? And that's the battle. That's everybody's individual battle, right? Is how much, what is it that they really need to be doing that they're avoiding because it is more painful to do that, or it is more complicated to negotiate those terms of that illusion, of that reality with yourself, than it is to just stay in the illusion and keep performing. So this next one, if you can't learn, then you must feel. This goes back to being raised as basically a first generation family of immigrants, right? Where I was born in America. I was born in Queens, and having been born to a family that basically flew to America and in their 20s and then started having children, right? So if you can't learn, then you must feel, right? It's this concept of, if you don't get it, then you're gonna get your ass beat. And that's the highlight of what my life has been like, right? Is the learning process is it was like right up against with getting your ass beat. Like that's just how I grew up. I don't really understand if there's anything different because also you have to understand that this world is based on that as well. It's like if you can't learn, then I'm gonna drop a fucking bomb on your head. It's like that's just the way the world works. And there are certain laws involved that try to get in the way of that, both on the battlefield of nations, of the national battle, international battlefield, which is something that we're out of is out of our control. If you can't learn, then you must feel. With a bomb on your head. But it also is much closer in our backyards, where it's like you can't beat animals, you can't lock your children in a cage for 5 days straight and not feed them. Like these are the kinds of things that the law gets in the way of, because this concept of if you can't learn, then you must feel, can be very detrimental towards a human psyche, right? It could be very detrimental towards the learning process that could have been dealt with another way. And some people are going to completely battle this idea, right? Like there's $1 billion industry that completely battles this kind of stuff, where it's like coming from a species that just is very well known for self-destruction. I mean, we're always beating up our neighbor, right? At any point in the evolutionary process, coming straight out of Africa all the way to fast forward tens of thousands of years, and now we're in the new world, right? The great rewiring, where AI is taking over and fucking robots are running around, delivering packages and stuff like that, right? So but we're here, guys, like that's where we're at, right? This whole concept of if you can't learn, then you must feel is you've got polar opposites going on, where everybody throughout this evolutionary process is trying to, more recently now, is like they're selling books and seminars and walk on coal and go and fly and jump, go inhale some drugs in the middle of Kansas, on a river lake or something like that, and go relearn or rewire yourself for positivity, right? So there's this whole industry that's just completely polar opposite of that. And that's okay. I mean, we've all had a bit of the Kool-Aid on that one, where something is completely opposite from the way that you've grown up, and all of a sudden that feels a little bit more like home. That feels a little bit more like your thing, and it's like you drink that Kool-Aid and you want to go for that, right? And that's great, because somebody else is drinking the Kool-Aid of I'd rather just drop a bomb on their head because they didn't learn the first time. It's like, that's okay, cool. It's like there's two Kool-Aids, it's like, which one do you want? You want the flavored one or you want the unflavored one? It's like, or this flavor or that flavor. So that concept of if you can't learn, then you must feel, again, it was very apparent in my childhood. And it's something where, you have to learn how to adapt using that as a strategy as well, because there are certain things that, that's going to help you in your life. There's things that may not apply to, but there's definitely a handful of ways that this, if you can't learn, then you must feel, actually really does work. I mean, it works like it's like a charm, it's like, for example, in business, like I'll give you an example, as a property manager, as a person who's running a property management company, it's like, if a client can't learn, and I used to give them strikes, like it would be like, your 40th strike of not, repairing your boiler or doing something, right? And then it's like, then you must feel, it's like, okay, it was like, this is the last time I'm going to let you know that. I just put it in the monthly report and you got to deal with it now. It's like, at any point in time that this causes any catastrophic damages, like you're going to be paying me, $4,500 to start any type of spearheading of a project. And, now it's like, okay, it's like, and if things spiral out of control, it's like, at what point do I need to give a fuck about this anymore? To the point where it's like, it becomes my problem, it consistently becomes my problem. It's like, it doesn't have to be like that. So, and that's just an example. Again, also, if you can't learn, then you must feel, is like, that could be a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. It's like, I can't learn quick enough or fast enough, therefore the world passes me by. And it's like, that's not really anybody's fault but yours. And then you have to go on that deep dive of, reevaluating reevaluating what your life really is. It's like deconstruct your mindset, set and get reliable goals for quicker and easier results, get out of, understand the illusion that you're causing yourself basically, and rewrite the ability for you to learn so that you could learn at a pace that you don't have to feel as often as before, right? It's like it could all be so simple, but some people choose not to do that, and it's not my problem. Minimizing collateral damage for self-destructive behavior. So this is a twofold thing. It's what do you do when you are self-destructing, right? So you're on this road of just self-destruction, and it could be like a one-time thing, or it could be kind of like a more consistent behavior or structured mindset that you have that's self-destruction. And then there's number two. Minimizing collateral damage for self-destructive behaviors is being a victim of somebody else doing self-destructive behaviors. How do you minimize that collateral damage, right? So, number one, we're going to step into the role of being the person who's self-destructive, right? And we all know these kinds of people, or we know what self-destructive behaviors are in ourselves. Like, what is it that can be considered self-destructive? It's like relationship destroying material, or money destroying material, or valuable destroying material, or actions, or behaviors, things like that, right? And what does it mean to minimize collateral damage, right? It's how quickly can you get back to a somewhat normal functioning mindset, something that, because like we're all going to self-destruct at least once. Like, give yourself at least once a year. Some people are once a week, some people are once a day. It's like, I'm not here to judge. It's like we're all coming into this kind of idea from different angles, from different places in life. But the information that you're receiving here today is universal. It's going to apply to basically everybody. But the self-destructive aspect, right? It's getting a grasp on what that behavior is. Like, how is it that self-destructive behaviors are running for you? What is it that's actually going on within your brain that's giving you the mental pain, the anticipation, the anxiety, the thoughts in your head that are saying, "I told you so." Like, that's exactly what's happening. This is the reality. That's the way that it is. This is what's actually going on. Like, what is that voice telling you that you can get into it and say, oh, wow, that's actually what I'm telling myself, or that's actually what's going on in my head. This thing is telling me this. This is what I see. That person moves funny, or they looked at me a certain type of way. Therefore, it must mean this. Like, what is it that you're doing to yourself? How is it that self-destructive behavior or that self-destructive mindset is installed and is programming itself to run this automated sense of, reality, so that now when you're, there's nothing else that you could do except run this program in your head, and now you're getting frustrated, and now somebody walks in the door and they're looking at you funny, or your shoes are untied and you trip, and now your day is getting worse, and you spilled your coffee, and now you just lost your best pair of pants. And that now they're talking near the water jug. The water break people are talking, or somebody's just talking with you a little too loud, or they're talking to you a little too funny, or they're talking a little out of pocket, or somebody who regularly is really, really nice to you just ain't having it with you today, right? And you're going bing 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 bing, right? And it's just causing you to ping pong off of your own, the space between your head. It's just ping ponging, just nastiness all over the place, right? So you got to get a hold of that. I mean, like, just use what you've learned in this video up until this point, and understand again is that minimizing the collateral damage is going to be, get a hold of yourself, guys. You can do it. You 100% can. You can literally grasp that thing before it starts causing you some damage, and you could just say no. This is not what's happening. This is garbage. This is doo-doo. Like, this is doo-doo mindset. We don't do doo-doo mindset. We do productive human being, healing, caring for myself, taking care of the trash, bag up the fucking trash, take it the fuck out, right? Throw it out. This is like, get the fuck out, right? And how do you minimize collateral damage from other people that are doing self-destructive behaviors? Like, let's say you're in a marriage, let's say you're in a partnership, let's say you're in a deal, and somebody is constantly sabotaging this situation, or even just once in a while sabotaging the situation. And your job is to get really good at self-control, right? Your job is to get good at these skills, get good information into your head so that when these things start happening, you can somewhat control what's going on within the four walls of your head, right? The four walls of your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, whatever it is. So that when other people around you are doing the things that are perceived to be self-destructive, and you're feeling you're feeling that feeling that something is about to happen and it's going to crash and burn, or you're already perceived, or you might be in the middle of it and not even realize that it's self-destructive behavior. Again, it's all about getting out of the situation, taking an objective point of view. It's like, what's going on in my marriage? What's going on in my partnership? What's going on in my deal, right? What is it? Because this is absolutely amazing content. It's, I remember going into a negotiation with an attorney at one point, right? And it was like $200-300 a month that was going to be extra or something like that. It was like a negotiation that I was a part of, and I was 25 at the time. And I had my mentor tell me, he's like, okay, so like, what's it to you? Couple $100 a month. Like, what's that to you? And when I got that because like I saw the big number on the contract, like it's like, oh, it's like when you break it down like that, it's like, what is that? It's like coffee a day, it's like a pizza a day, it's like, can you handle that? And when I started looking at life like that, it was like, oh wow, like that could have been 100% of self-destructive behavior where I was going to go into this negotiation and bark at this guy, right? And for nothing. Like, the collateral damage would have been, there would have been all mine, because this guy's going into this negotiation giving me a fucking fair deal, right? Amazing deal. And I was over here going to be a dickhead number one, it's like all in my head doing fucking Indian, pre-programmed Indian mindset where it's like, I can do the $4,000, $5,000. It's like, no, get the fuck out of here, man. Let's sign the deal, man. Let's do some business together. And it turned out to be an amazing partnership for a couple of years. It was absolutely great. Loved the guy to death, gave him some business, and we both walked away from that deal just shaking hands, and definitely recommend him. He had my back the whole way through. Amazing lawyer. But that was great. Like, it turned out to be a really great deal. And I had to get rid of the self-destructive behaviors that were going to cause me, that could have destroyed the partnership right then and there, because it would have been like constantly going back and forth negotiating contracts. When you just sign the deal, get in, sign the deal. It's like you're not at a loss by losing a couple $100 a month. Absolutely not. And I had to convince myself of that. I had to get into my own mindset. I had to see what the self-destructive behavior was, and I had to minimize that collateral damage. Because, again, I was coming out of pocket a couple $100 a month. I didn't like it, but at the end of the day, it was not worth trying to find a better deal. It wasn't. So what to do when you see the ugly side? What happens when somebody's going to show you their ugly side? They're going to do the self-destructive behaviors, and they're going to show you the ugly side, right? You got to remain calm. That's the most important thing. You got to remain calm. You got to remain objective. You have to learn how to not answer people's emotional distresses as often as you have been answering their emotional distresses. So much so that they might have been dependent on it. So they're constantly showing you their ugly side more often and more often and more often. Now it's like a flaunt. It's like an asset. The asset, right, is that they get to do this ugly side, and you get to answer at their beck and call, because it's like come hither as I do the nonsense. Come hither. And it's like you're just like a moth to a fucking flame. You're just and you go right in there, right? So what do you do when you see the ugly side, right? Now it's a time for you to take control back. Now it's time for you to just say, It's like, as much as I would love to be a part of that, sometimes I just got to say no. And that's even that's okay to say to that person. It's like, sometimes it's like, look, I would love to participate in that. It's like, I would love to get all up in that, but it's like, today I'm not really feeling it. It's like, I don't know about you, but I ain't really feeling it. Oh, what do you mean? And it's like I don't need to repeat myself. And then you see the fucking red light on them, and they're like, what? And then either they do some shit, or they flip out. But either way, you're about to learn something very essential about the person that you're dealing with when you stop responding to their ugly side. You get to embrace exactly what you got yourself into, and then you get to pivot and understand exactly what that means for you, and whether or not you want to be a part of that. After they get what they want, what do they do? And then I wrote nightmare fuel on the side, because that is nightmare fuel. So let's say you're giving them what they want, right? You're participating in this hoopla. It's like, believe me, we all love participating in other people's hoopla. It's like, I love that shit. One of my easiest flaws is going straight for that. It's like, hoopla? Oh yeah, whoop. Going straight for it. I don't know where I'd be getting that characteristic, man, but it is one of my most annoying pet peeves that I hate about myself. Is like, I love getting involved in people's drama, man. It's like, in a way where, like, I feel like I could help it. But I just get sucked into that shit sometimes. And, nowadays it ain't even worth the pay. But, figuring out, what is the bare minimum that I could do to get them what they want, right? And then what is it that they do? Fueling the nightmare, right? Again, this is all in the perspective of, you're in this agreement or partnership, or whether business or personal or social or anything like that, and they're getting what they want, right? And then you have to sit there and bear witness to what they do with that, right? Because people are going to come knocking on your door, and you have the option of answering it. But what you do with that answer, it's like, do you let them in? Do you let them use your bathroom? Do you let them open your fridge? Do you let them eat whatever the fuck they want? Do you let them pack up your, go to your safe? You open up your door, they go straight to the basement. They open up your safe. They have the lock and code. They open up the safe. They take out your water cash, and they walk right the fuck out of the house. Like, do you let that shit happen in your life? It's like, are you fueling your own nightmare? Dealing with the rebound of saying no. I love this one, because I'm getting better at it. This is something that I've been focusing on recently, is like, no. The problem that I see most prominently in my life when it comes to dealing with the rebound of saying no is what happens when people, again, when they always get what they want, right? And then they're on a fucking one, and then they're going for more. They're getting better at it, right? And they're getting trained. You're training them to do this, right? They get what they want, they do it again. They get what they want, they do it again, right? And now you have to get right in there and just say no, right? Or you're dealing with the repercussions of somebody always saying yes, and then that person has to come into your pot to piss in, and then you have to say no, right? Because you're somehow associated with that situation, right? Dealing with the rebound of saying no. Most important thing here is, again, it goes in hand with what to do when you see the ugly side, is and then also minimizing collateral damage with self-destructive behaviors. Dealing with the rebound of saying no is, you're gonna be in for it, man. If you've gotten to the point where people are constantly getting what they want around you, and you're being that type of person who's getting used, or giving way too much of your time, energy, and effort going and solving other people's problems, or being that person that can be relied on to go ahead and be that problem solver in such a capacity where, like, you're doing it without any type of reasonable equilateral compensation or satisfaction or something like that, right? it's gonna hurt. Oh, this one is gonna hurt really, really a lot. You're but being in the position to learn, right? Being objective about taking out of the situation, they're not yelling at you. They're yelling at their process not working. So it's basically they're running their own self-destructive behavior at that point. So you have to objectively take yourself out of that, and just view it from a distance. Like this person is hitting the reset button, and it's hurting. It's kind of like, imagine, somebody's walking and then all of a sudden they trip over something and they can't get back up. You're going to see them crawl for a little bit. And it's just important for you to just walk away. These are not the kinds of things that you want to get involved in, let alone see people fall and watch them groggle on their way up. Like, you got shit to do as a human being. Like, you've got work, you've got your family to deal with, you've got pets to feed, you've got business to take care of, you got sports to go play and your health to take care of and food to cook and stuff like that. Like, you've got a busy fucking schedule. You got to go take care of your own shit, not watch people rebound, recovering from you saying no. You can't dwell in that long enough, for it to be healthy. Your most important thing is just saying no, back the fuck up, walk away. It's like if you get the repetitive behavior and it's like, I don't feel like I need to repeat myself on this situation. And saying no means no. And just walk away. It's like, if that hurts, it's like you need to work on how to put together that mindset where saying no doesn't hurt. You have to work on like what that means and feels for you and systematically develop those skills and drills. There's always an I in we. And we've been taught this from fucking day one, right? There's no I in we. Get the fuck out of here, guys. I don't know where the fuck we be learning this kind of nonsense from, but there is an I in we. I could see 4 of them right now, right? The most important thing to understand is that somebody's trying to train you to develop the sense of camaraderie when it comes into this kind of situation. You can't be in a camaraderie if you don't fucking bring your best self. Like, that's the most important thing, is to focus on what the fuck it is that you're doing in your life and get really good at it. So that when you become part of a team, whether that's a 2-person team, a 3-person team, a 50-person team, a 5 billion person team, you could bring your best self. So I don't know where it says that there's no I in we. It's like, I'm sure that there's some heroic situations where this is like the head caption and, this person, is like Rose and Jack and is like, Jack, come back. And it's like, well, there was no I in his we. It's like, bruh, it's like, relax, guys. The most important thing is take care of yourself first, because if you start building up a team, right, or if you start building up something other than yourself and you have nothing to bring to the table, what did you really build? Even when you give them what they want, they won't change. So this is a highlight. I mean, this is just case facts. It's like, we all know what it's like to give people what they want and they just don't change at the end of the day. Everybody is going through this situation every single day, in every single way, in every single part of their life. You're giving people what they want and they won't change. And that might be a good thing. It might be a business transaction and this is exactly what you give them the money to do, some form of service or business, and they continue to do the job that you enjoy, or they continue to do the job that you pay for, which is great. It's like, if everything worked like that, oh my God, I wouldn't have approached this situation like this. But I'm approaching this situation like this because it doesn't work like that. Even when you give them what they want, they won't change, is on the other side of it's like, this conversation is for the flip on that. It's, you can continually give somebody some type of benefit, energy, emotion, money, right? And you're hoping that there's something that comes, some type of development that comes from that, right? Some emotion, you're giving energy, you're giving emotion, you're giving, time, value, and money to a situation, and you're expecting that there's some change that's going to occur in this person. And it'll never happen. There's nothing that you could do for somebody else where you're giving them energy, time, love, effort, money, whatever it is. Like, that kind of stuff does not develop change. What develop change is, getting out of a situation and doing shit completely left field. To the point where, like, resets their neurology and they have a choice to make. It's like, they either continue doing self-destructive behaviors or they go ahead and actually get with the program and start doing some good stuff. Whose fantasy is really better? This is an interesting one, right? Because again, this goes back to the real life genjutsu. We're all running some sort of illusion, right, on ourselves, and we're also trying to cast it and involve people in this illusion that we're casting, right? There's a more definite idea of that. Let me see if I could think of it really quickly. Okay, so somebody's always trying to sell you on their reality, right? Buy this product, it's going to make you look 20 years younger, or go get this Botox treatment because it's going to reduce the fine line wrinkles inside your head. It's like, I don't care if I'm 80. People don't love me for, I don't care if I was 15 again. People never loved me for my looks, It's like, I may not have always had something intelligent to say. I may not have always had some valuable emotion to share with somebody, or some type of bank account to share with somebody, and I still don't. But the most important thing is, when you're involving yourself in somebody else's life, what is it that you're really after? How is enveloping your reality, or selling your reality to this person? How does that look and feel for you, and how does that look and feel for somebody else? You have to understand exactly what is it that they're buying. What is it that they're buying when it comes to you selling your reality? And what is it that you're actually selling when it comes to wanting other people to buy your reality? What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this interaction? Whose fantasy is really better here? Is it the person that's buying it, or is it the person that's selling it, or is it two people selling it or two people buying? Right? What's really going on here? What's the dynamic? Who's really going to win this sale, or get the best deal? Or how is this deal going to be worked out so that both parties are running a benefit here with minimal losses, right? Because that's in my opinion always the goal. Lights are on, no one is home. We've all heard about this one before. What is it that we're doing that when we're tapping in with somebody, right? It's like checking in, whatever's going on, and then you realize nobody's home. I have this shit every fucking day. I mean, dealing in property management, there's always some form of lights are on, no one's home. Dealing with family and friends, there's always some form of lights are on, but nobody's home. But as a business partner, as a contractor, as a client, as a friend, as a family member, as a partner, most important thing is understanding, like, again, going back to whose fantasy is really better. It's like, what is it that you're really trying to do here? It's like, if you're trying to sell some type of form of communication, or some type of idea, or fantasy, or again, jutsu, right? You're trying to sell this idea, right? You're trying to sell this idea, or this reality, and the lights are on but nobody's home. It's like, clearly this ain't gonna work out a second time. It's like, if they ain't home, they ain't home. Like, you gotta shut the fuck up, pack up your bags, and go and do something else. Go sell some other reality, or just realizing that, what you have to say is not the most important thing to be said in the room. It's like reading the room, understanding what's going on, when is it going on, how is this going to impact your life if you don't get what you want. Again, the lights are on, no one's home is assuming that you, as the person seeing that the lights are on and nobody is home, is that you're the one who actually makes sense. Your reality, your fantasy, your genjutsu is the one that you're trying to invite people into, to say, hey, look, like, this is what it is. But people are not buying into that. They're not registering that fantasy. They're not registering that reality. They're not registering that genjutsu. So for you, lights are on, but nobody's home, which is not a problem. Again, it's just, sometimes what you're selling, what you're pushing, is just not what needs to be pushed. And, again, it becomes better for you to understand what the room, reading the temperature of the room, reading the idea of what's going on, and pivoting and understanding, maybe it's not a good time. Maybe now's not the time, or I could become better at this, or maybe this just isn't important anymore. And it's understanding those kinds of things. Again, it all comes back to reevaluating what your life is really like. That way you can get a better grasp of, what are the qualities that people are looking for when it comes to, the mindset of the thing that they're trying to be, right? Because we're all starting somewhere, and we all need to get somewhere. And I think developing that systematic approach of being able to look at yourself and tell yourself the truth, the objective truth of, and again, it's always some form of truth, right? Because you're gonna be your number one biggest critic, but you're also gonna be your number one biggest bullshit storyteller. You're always gonna tell yourself the most bullshit story, and you're gonna believe it, right? That's the number one thing. So it's like getting ahead of that and understanding that, okay, I might bullshit myself in this, so this might not actually be the truth. This might not actually be the thing that I need to be hearing the most. Like, what is the complete opposite of what I'm telling myself? So much so that it actually hurts. And then going and running with that for a couple of days or a couple of hours, what would it look like if I actually believed that the total opposite of what I'm telling myself? Like, what would that actually look like? How would that change my life if I totally believed that I was worth it? How would that totally change my life if I believed that, oh, I could do it today? Oh yeah, that could happen today. I could make this happen. I totally believe in this. Even if I fall short, I would have known that I tried, right? What is it that would get in the way of that? And then you break down those barriers systematically. Now you start moving in the trajectory of something that's little new, a little bit more of the mindset that might actually get you something good, But it all starts with wanting. It starts with the level of commitment that you're willing to put into training yourself. Again, I've been doing this for 18 years and longer if you consider, the fact that, I was really, really good at, identifying what wants and needs are as a kid. These are the kinds of things that, but systematically, I was able to systematically approach the self-perpetuating deconstructive mindset and reevaluating what life is and creating a DIY kit for mindset change and setting reliable goals and things like that. I was able to systematically start that process at the age of 16, reading books, watching, it was all by accident, by the way. It was like completely out of left field how this happened. But, I was able to get in front of some really good information for free that completely changed my life. And that's how I got started. I went on a deep dive because I remember I remember the shift, right? I remember the shift at 16 when I got the first source of information that, you are in control of your life, you are you, and this is actually possible. Like, people are out here, they're doing this kind of stuff. Because I'd never heard of it. I never heard of that concept before. And I went to church all my life. I've been in church since I was in the womb. And I've never heard of a way to handle yourself in a way that I was able to learn information for free within an hour. And I didn't even have to leave my home. And that's how quickly I was able to find it. That's how easy it was for me to find. And that was 20 years ago. It's like, I could only imagine how easy it is today to find the same level of, wow, okay. I mean, that's what the videos are about. They're literally reaching thousands of people a day. But, these are the kinds of things that, I'm happy to issue this kind of information because I'm here to say, like, it is possible, 100%. It just takes one thing for you to swipe up and just watch a video and learn for yourself. It's like, holy shit, like, this is really possible. I really can do this. Here are the results. Here are people who have results. It's like, that's how I was able to get it. I was able to get this level of information. I had to pay well over 6 figures over the course of 20 years. But, these are the kinds of things that, you get good at it, it won't end. Like, this level of I'm able to level up every single year for the rest of my life. I've been leveling up every single year for the last 20 years, and I will level up every single year for the rest of my life. And I've been leveling up in the most systematic way possible that I believed was leveling up. And then sometimes you get to those levels and then you start realizing that this isn't what I thought life would be. And I'm at that point right now in my life where just because I'm at a place in my life where, coming from where I came from 20 years ago, wanting and dreaming of even just a small sliver of what a lifestyle I have right now, to be at that level again, where it's like, okay, the life that I built for myself isn't exactly what I thought it would look and feel like. It was good for a little bit, but there are the things that I need to start doing again. Shed off the dead weight, move in a systematic way to get where it is that I believe that I need to go, and take the day-to-day steps so that I could systematically approach and get to those kinds of levels of mindsets and thoughts and beliefs and behaviors and emotions and things like that. Allowing myself to breathe a little bit more of that life back into me. So that I could go and get those kinds of things and enjoy that lifestyle in another 20 years. That's the goal, is to look back in 20 years from now and say, wow, I made it far, but I kept going. You know, because it didn't stop. I'm not going to settle down for less. You know, I'm going to keep going and get what I want and what I deserve, and nothing's going to get in my way. You know, it's either you hop on board with the Shen train or you get the fuck packing and stop off at the next stop, or stopped off at the last stop. You know, people have to make that choice. You have to run your life in that kind of way. And listen, I get it that there's some mindset gurus out there that are going to teach you, like, okay, they're going to teach you what they teach you, and they're going to show you, okay, yeah, it's okay, you know, and then when you get what you want and that's it, you know, or like, you know, you need to be comfortable where you're at. And it's like, life is a ever changing thing, people. And it's like, it comes back to the, which part is it? It comes back to, self-perpetuating deconstructive mindset. That's the most closest one that I could think of right now. But it comes back to that. It's like, are you telling yourself the lie that you need to hear because the person that you believed in told that to themselves and believed it? Like, they believed it so much that they gave you the information that you were looking for, and therefore you kept it and you held on to it and it served you. It's like, imagine what that would be like if that didn't serve you anymore, where you saw, you know, your lifestyle and you said, this ain't it anymore, Charles, you know, and you were able to look at yourself and you were able to tell yourself, okay, now it's time to level up. What is it that I need to do? I need to take the hard look at myself again, and I need to reevaluate exactly what's going on in my life and whether or not that's going to serve me in the future days and the weeks and the months and the years to come. And how is it that I'm going to deconstruct that mindset so that I can install the things that need to be installed so that I could run better goals, set and get better goals, reduce collateral damage, you know, dealing with certain situations better, in a more systematic way that preserves the good aspects, but also gets rid of the bad. So that's where I'm at, guys. Like, that's what I'm actively doing. And, you know, I'm here to step by step guide you as I go along in my life. As I start finding out a little bit more about what it makes sense to be me, and how I get what I get. And I feel free to share that kind of information because I think it's important for people to understand, you know, how important it is to do this level of self-reflection and share content. Because again, you know, I was able to achieve the last 18 years of my life because somebody was able to graciously provide this information, this level of information for me to get started. And it took just a few clicks on a computer to access this level of information. And it wasn't readily available like you guys are seeing on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and X.com. It wasn't like that. This was, you know, I wound up finding this because it found me, essentially. But like, it was like a moth to a flame. It was like, it was always destined to happen. Like, it just felt like that because as soon as I started listening in, I was like, holy shit, like, this is possible. Like, wow, I really do understand what these people are saying because I've felt like this before. I've understood that, and it led me on the path towards studying every single day. I mean, guys, we're talking 8 to 12 hours sometimes a day as you know, growing up as a teenager in high school, going through some of the most toughest times of my life as a teenager, going all the way up into my early 20s. You know, wow, what a journey it's been. But you know, and hopefully I'll share some of that sooner or later. But you know, the most important thing again was for me to hop on today, share a little bit of the information that I've been going through and some of the things that have been going on in my head. And you know, I hope some of this is valuable to you guys, and definitely look forward to hearing you guys in the comments and questions, you know, comments and things like that. And let me know what it is that you guys are going through, and maybe you know, maybe I could give you guys some advice. So hopefully, if there's you know, any questions or anything like that, just feel free to drop it in the DMs or message me on any one of my social media platforms. And if you guys are down with the coaching too, feel free to register for that. You know, that's going to be up and running pretty soon. So hop on board, guys, and good luck out there. Peace.